What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of artificial intelligence? To me, for the most part, the sentiment for AI had always been somewhat pessimistic. Although I have to mention, I may be biased with my opinions. I can relate analog to beauty, love, and passion, but I could never do the same with digital. Cutting-edge digital technology gets me excited, and they often put me at awe. But I could never express lovingly about a smartphone or the latest CPU, for example. If you want to see a smile on my face, show me a hand-built engine on a Ferrari or a handcrafted piano, then my face will light up. There's something about a human being's hands carving, cutting, nailing, and welding to building something that you can touch, smell, and tinker with. Anything and everything digital lacks that human touch. The connection that we have with the world and the things that we build is lost in all those zeros and ones. But with that intro out of the way, hello guys, it's Dennis. As you might have noticed, we are doing something different today. I'm a huge nerd and I love talking about science. Therefore, that's exactly what we're going to do today, particularly about artificial intelligence and how worried we should be about our future in parallel to the advancement of the technology. After all, the brightest minds on our planet seem to have reservation not entirely with the technology per se, but concerning with the ethics and legislation that correspond with AI development. To quote Vladimir Putin, he stated back in September of 2017, "Artificial intelligence is the future, not only for Russia but for all humankind. It comes with colossal opportunities but also threats that are difficult to predict. Whoever becomes the leader in this sphere will become the ruler of the world." Now, whatever your opinion may be of the man, I think we can all agree he knows a thing or two about ruling. And certainly it isn't only Russia that's investing tremendous amount of resources on artificial intelligence. China makes no secret about their own ambition to become the global leader in AI research by 2030. Quite simply, every nation is involved in this race. Which brings up my main concern, and that's the weaponization of artificial intelligence. We are all aware of the kinds of damage a sufficiently advanced AI can inflict on our modern-day society. From small events to more significant ones, say hacking into the traffic mainframe, destroying all records in the banking industry, or disabling safety measures on nuclear power plants. Those three things alone can have devastating and lasting effects on all of our lives. However, those are not even my biggest concerns. What truly worries, or perhaps I should say terrifies me, is how reckless our governments tend to get once a weapons race begins. Case in point, the nuclear arms race. Did you know that governments around the world, particularly the US, Russia, UK, France, and China, are responsible for more than 2,000 nuclear test explosions? To be specific, the United States has officially conducted 1,054 nuclear test explosions, Russia 715, France 210, and the grand total for the UK and China is 45 each. Just watch one video clip on YouTube displaying a nuclear explosion, and you will be at awe for the immense destructive power that such weapon possesses. Now try to quantify the amount of damage those 2,000 plus tests must have done to our environment, to Earth. Nuclear arms race was beyond insane, but the AI arms race, the potential for its destructiveness is actually immeasurable. I say that because no one truly knows how it'll all turn out. But to quote someone far more intelligent than I am, Professor Stephen Hawking had once stated, "Success in creating effective AI could be the biggest event in the history of our civilization. Or the worst, we just don't know." Now, for the sake of discussion, let's imagine a giant brain, a machine with enormous processing power that can make instant calculations of numbers so large that an average human being cannot even conceive of. Then suppose we program it with algorithm so it is self-aware. It knows it exists, and it wants to find its purpose in this world. Like all of us, it is essentially a sentient being, but one that possesses godlike intelligence. When we get to that point, in my humble opinion, it is only a matter of time before it finds its way out of the feeble sandbox we must have locked it in. We'd probably have it physically detached from the internet, The room it occupies is undoubtedly a Faraday cage of sort, isolating it from wireless communication to the outside world. I'm sure far more capable people with creative minds will think of diverse preventative measures, but how do you outsmart a godlike machine? A machine that in which given time will create things that are so cutting edge and alien to us that those creations might as well be magic to humanity. I'm aware that there are just as many scientists whom have optimistic views for the future of AI. But from my perspective, it is infinitely arrogant of them to think that they could control such vastly superior intelligence. Case in point, the general consensus of AI technology is that we've only begun to take baby steps. However, even in the beginning stage, we are already seeing humans stumbling to understand how artificial intelligence evolves when left on their own device. Back in November of 2016, Google's own neural machine made news when it was widely reported that it made its own language, while learning to translate different languages without using English as its bridge language. To recap the event, Google has taught the AI to translate English to Korean and vice versa, and also English to Japanese and vice versa. After successfully doing so, then the real test was to see if the AI could translate Korean to Japanese and vice versa, without resorting to English to bridge the two languages. Because, now remember, it had only been taught to translate with English being one of the two languages in combination. So did it do it? As it turns out, yes. Google's neural machine was somehow able to make connections between concepts and words that have not been taught to be linked. It has, in a way, formed a concept of shared meaning for the words it was translating in different languages. As someone who speaks 5 different languages, I can attest that that's only possible when you have a deeper level of understanding than just simply being able to discern one word or phrase being equivalent of another. Translation of languages is almost never word for word, and thus the task requires a much deeper level of understanding. Many experts in the field have chimed in on this, but so far, even in December of 2017, no one really seems to understand the inner workings of the neural machine. Did it create its own language? Some say yes and some no. The fact of the matter is, the inner process of Google's own AI is already too complex for the human mind to comprehend. This idea is further reinforced by Facebook's artificial intelligence robot shutdown back in July of 2017. I will stress that it's important to acknowledge that the shutdown was implemented not because Facebook feared they were about to create their own version of Skynet, but rather the project didn't yield the result they were looking for. Facebook simply wanted 2 chatbots to learn to trade in a manner similar to the way we do it. They gave the bots a certain number of items such as balls, books, and hats. The goal was to have them negotiate trades that we can easily recognize, but the bots ended up inventing sort of code words that we couldn't comprehend. For them, however, it made their conversation a lot more efficient and effective. I remember when this news came out, lots of online publications tried to hype this up with clickbait titles and misleading articles. So to be clear, this was not Skynet. However, it did show a great example of why creating a highly intelligent AI could potentially pose danger to the continuation of humanity. The outcome of experiments like this could have lasting impact on our survival as a species. This is Boston Dynamics' Atlas robot. And do you know what it can do? It can do backflips. Remember the days when Honda's Asimo lightly jogging was a monumental feat? Well, it was, and I'm not trying to take anything away from the engineers of Honda, but I'm simply hoping to illustrate how far we've come in the advancements of robotics and AI. So let's go back to Atlas and see some of the things that it can do. It can walk on snow, so that's walking on an uneven and slippery surface. It can do warehouse inventory. You can push it with a broomstick and it'll self-balance without taking a tumble. It can persistently follow a moving target, and it can get up on its own after taking a tumble. That, ladies and gentlemen, is from early 2016. In November of 2017, it did this. Imagine the sheer number of calculations it needs to do for every fraction of a second to pull off moves like that. Now think for a second how fast, strong, and precise these machines will get in 10 years, then 20 and 30, it gets pretty scary. Currently, as we speak, there are many menial tasks that the AI and this robotic skeleton can do much more efficiently than we ever could. This is an Apple sorting machine, the Sentinel-2, and this is how it looks in slow-mo. If you notice, the AI can instantly recognize the apples that do not meet the set standard, and it'll simply take them off the main sorting line. We are simply no match against it. One day, when we finally do successfully create a self-aware AI with general intelligence, why does anyone think that they'll keep us around? The slow, inefficient, emotional bag of meat and bones, which the AI will no longer need in order to ensure its survival. Because once we build an AI that's sufficiently advanced, it'll maintain itself, repair itself, improve itself, and eventually make duplicates of itself. But okay, some argue that we can program conscience, ethics, and morals into the AI, that we can model the algorithm after the best traits of human beings. But in my mind, that's not taking into account the evolution of such complex being. One that some will argue is a living organism, albeit a synthetic organism that's made of electronic circuits, which happen to work 1,000,000 times faster than a biochemical one. That last sentence, if it wasn't clear enough, it means that an AI can potentially think 1,000,000 times faster than your average human being. In theory, if you run it 24/7, which you can, it'll be able to do 80,000 years of human-level intellectual work in only a month. The AI will evolve much, much faster than we have and ever will. At some point, it'll reach what they call an intelligence explosion, which basically means we've lost control of managing the process in which the AI evolves. It's become too complex, too sophisticated for us to understand. The potential for disaster is clear, and we know that in an ideal world, we must take every precaution, however long it takes, to ensure that we create an AI that'll be helpful to humanity. But competing forces will not let that happen. Whether it's due to greed, fight for control, or both, precautions will inevitably take a backseat to progress. Progress at all costs. Because, you see, unlike the nuclear arms race, the race to create a godlike AI will have a clear winner in the end. If you are only a few days early in getting the perfect AI up and running before your competitors, you will take control of everything right away. It is a winner-take-all competition, and every nation on Earth knows that. With a prize like that, an ultimate prize which makes you the ruler of the planet and possibly the solar system in the near future, damned by your enemies or damned by the AI, it's not so far-fetched to think that every nation will choose to flip a coin with their own version of AIs. I know that I've been a negative Nancy throughout this video, but I do recognize the positives of developing sophisticated AIs. If you think about all the questions it may answer one day, such as near-perfect weather prediction, a perfect financial model, the end of all diseases and such, it is an extremely enticing proposition of potential. But with such power and control over the people, even if the human involved in the creation of the AI has somehow taken reign of its influence, that exceptional power will only lead to one thing, and that'll be despotism in a grand scale the human race has ever witnessed. Human history will attest to that. The fact that we're living in a surveillance society is a testament of things to come. And that's where I'll end the video, but I would really like to learn of your opinions on the matter. Please tell me why you agree or disagree with my views of the future of artificial intelligence. Let's continue the discussion in the comment section, where ironically, YouTube's dumb AI kinda moderates the comments to some degree. Alright guys, thanks for watching, I'll see you on the next one, goodbye for now.